Hello, writers. Hello out there in writing land. It's Megan. I am live in All Writers Welcome, and I have invited the blabbers as well, those of you who were in book launch like a boss. A lot of you are also in All Writers Welcome, and I wanted to put this on your radar because it's something to think about even as you're thinking about launching your book, and it is the easier way to create compelling characters. This is something that is useful when you are first planning your novel, and it's also something that is useful as you're looking toward launching and thinking about the little tweaks that you might be doing in order to do some of the things that really grab readers. If you've been watching our live trainings in Blab, you know I talked all about how to make readers fall in love with your story, and it had to do with your characters. Hey, Anne, great to see you. I always love it when All Writers Welcome Academy members come and watch our lives and check in with us. And I love it when people I don't know come and watch the live videos as well, and I get to know you all in this way. So I want to jump in with the easier way to create compelling characters. And I'll do that by talking about the hard way. What is the challenging way? What's the hard way to create compelling characters? The hard way is to sit and think very deeply about all of the details of your characters' lives and get in and write or think through these massive bios. And I think a lot of writers get that advice when they ask, how can I create a believable character? How can I create somebody compelling? A lot of the advice going around is, well, you got to sit down and you got to think through, why did she choose the career she has? And does it all go back to second grade? And, what kind of toothpaste does she use? And these minute details. And seriously, you guys, I've seen resources that ask questions about characters that I would not be able to answer about myself. I mean, I'm looking through some of these character questionnaires. I'm like, I don't know. What is my least favorite time of day to eat honey? Like, that's not something I know about myself, let alone my character. So the hard way to approach character is to put the burden on yourself of having to know all the details about people's backstory and to come up with that in kind of a vacuum. Not everybody loves doing character study. For those of us who love doing it, it might come really easily. If you can invent people at will, or people just appear to you in your dreams, you might go, well, why wouldn't you do that? Well, because for a lot of people, it's incredibly time consuming. There's another reason why I would advise against creating your characters by doing these really in-depth character dossiers, I guess you could call them. And it's because sometimes you come up with a really fascinating information about your character, and then you try to shove it into your story even if it doesn't fit. Hello, Trish, great to see you, right? If you have all this wonderful backstory you've created, it's more motivating to you to try to fit it into your story, and you may end up overloading your story. You may end up adding in details that don't help make it a compelling story simply because you came up with them and you really love them. And that's the pain of being an author, frankly, right? You're gonna come up with some really cool stuff that doesn't ultimately get into your story, and it feels so sad to chop it. So don't create more than you need to, right? Don't spend a lot of time and energy creating dossiers about your characters that then might not make it into the story or shouldn't make it into the story. All right, so what is the easier way? Ooh, I'm so glad you asked. So what I'm going to do is walk you through, actually it's a worksheet that I've created. It's called Creating Compelling Characters. You guys, I'm not so creative with the titles for my worksheets. And this is something that's actually available. It's a free download on the All Writers Welcome website. I will share the link where you guys can grab that. And it's something that you can use for creating all the types of characters in your novel, whether those are the main characters, the kind of secondary supporting characters, the people who would win, Best Actor and Best Actress if this were a movie, or even the characters who don't get developed at all, but are there to drive the bus, deliver the groceries, walk the dog, be the boss who just appears in one scene, all of those people as well. So this is a one-stop shop, a one-stop worksheet you can use to create characters. And the way it works is you decide how important the character is, and then you just do the steps related to, like the main characters get all the steps, and then the supporting characters get a few of them, and the minor characters just get, one or two here and there. So I'm going to just jump right in and walk you through the easier way for creating characters. And it starts with asking yourself, what do you need from this character? And this is something you're going to do for all characters, big and small, from your protagonist all the way down to the clerk in the store who only has one thing to say. And when you start with what you need from this character, you really connect with your main conflict. You connect with your plot. So you're already approaching your characters from in a smarter way, because you're going, in relation to my story, what do I need from this person? So that's going to involve answering questions like, what does this character make happen? What does this character prevent from happening? I need a guy who's going to be the one to, be late to get on the bus, or then the bus is late, and then that prevents, my main character from catching her husband cheating. Whatever it is, I just need this cog in this bigger machine. You're going to ask, how is the character involved in key moments of your story, like the inciting incident, the climax, the final scene? So that's the first place to jump in. What do you need from this character in relation to the plot? Then you're going to ask, what do you need from this character in relationship to other characters? So we're still in the need. We're still in okay, story structure, developing relationships. What do I have to make sure I get from Joe or from Jill? So the questions you want to ask yourself when you are asking about character relationships are, who else will this character interact with? Is she going to help somebody? If so, how? Is she going to thwart somebody? If so, how? And is this character going to be an ally or an antagonist or a supporter to the main character? You might even use a graphic organizer to create kind of a table of all your characters and map out, who interacts with whom and who supports whom. If that feels complicated, certainly you don't have to do it. You just kind of jot down notes. And what's great is you don't have to do all your characters at once. You can wait until you are, pretty sure about your plot structure, and then kind of ask, well, who are the characters I need, and start to develop them. And maybe you'll create a scene and go, oh, wait, I need somebody else who does some other job, right? So you can add in more characters as you need them. It's preventing you from doing the everything up front. Once you have, gone through that question, what do you need from these characters? Then you're going to start to ask, what do you want from them? And then you get into some more interesting stuff. Now, this will be a question you ask about your, certainly your main characters, but that you definitely don't have to ask for your really minor characters. You'll probably do it for your secondary characters, your supporting characters too. So what do you want from this character? Well, this might be something that's really important to your overall theme, the message of your book. If you really want to show readers a world in which nice guys finish first, and that you can be like this really wonderful, caring human being, and you can still get ahead, if that's your powerful theme, then you're going to want certain things from your characters. You're going to want to show a guy who's always really caring, who's going to get ahead, and maybe there will be a guy who's a total sleazeball, and he ends up getting eaten by an alligator, So you'll start asking, what are a character's admirable traits? What are this character's faults or shortcomings? Do you personally like this character? Why or why not? And how do you want readers to feel about this character? So I know I just got into a lot of details, like, oh, what are his traits? What are his shortcomings? But think about the bigger context. You're asking yourself that in relationship to the theme, right? You are not locked in for every character you're writing about to do a whole psychological analysis and say, this guy's good for these reasons and bad for those reasons. You're asking in the context of, what message are you delivering? And so if somebody's not part of delivering that message, You don't have to go into what that person's admirable character traits are, or the dishonorable ones. So this is really just for the people who be instrumental in the plot. And because you are giving a message, then you'll also be able to plan what kind of outcome should this person have, right? I want my guy who is caring to others to have some kind of good, happy ending to his story. And I already decided the other guy's getting eaten by an alligator. Done and done. And that will help you think through, is the character whose story you're showing us going to be somebody who scares us or inspires us? Is this going to be a message of hope, disappointment, promise? So you guys may notice that I'm talking to you about character building, but what I'm incorporating into that is a lot about story and theme building. So part of why I call this the easier way to create compelling characters is because you are doing you're planning multiple components of your story at once, and saving yourself the time of first having to do all of the plot, then having to do all the characters, right? You're moving laterally, you're moving horizontally, and you're making sure that these pieces are connected. And so the characters you're creating are not only interesting and complex and compelling, they also support the story. They make things happen. I'm going to pause here. We got a question. Is it a must in a story that all characters should change at the end of the story? Ooh, that's a really interesting question. So certainly not all the characters, but you were probably asking about main characters. I would say it absolutely depends on the genre and the kind of story you're writing. Right? There are some genres that are specifically about what kind of change is the character going to go through, right? Literary fiction that has components of self-discovery and growth and renewal. I mean, those are a change for the character is something that people are expecting. So yeah, for that kind of genre. But what if you're writing a police crime drama and the plot and the tension is all wrapped up in who done it and whether we'll get the killer? It might be that the protagonist doesn't need to change at all. The protagonist just needs to get the murderer, and we're happy with that outcome. So I would say there's no hard and fast rule about do all main characters have to do anything, right? There's really no one thing they have to do except take action. Consider the genre, consider the type of story you're writing, and what readers will expect for that. I personally prefer some kind of transformation for my protagonist, even if it is a minor one. But that's because I read a lot of literary fiction, and so then I transfer that taste over to the other genres I read. And when I enjoy fantasy or when I enjoy science fiction, it's usually because the character has undergone some change. But that's a really good question. Mokomotsi is asking, do you have to have the change? Not for all genres, not for all stories. Your character arc might be much more about what's happening externally. Do you defeat the antagonist? Do you catch the crook? Or even, do other people accept you the way you are? Sometimes the protagonist stays the same, and the tension is built by readers wondering, will other people finally wake up and realize how awesome she is and start getting on board with liking her? Great question. So what I've talked you through so far is figuring out what you need from characters in terms of your story structure. And then we looked at what you want from characters, and that was more, thinking about your theme and what message you want to give to readers, and will help you with some of your secondary characters. The first question is going to be for your major, secondary, and minor characters, right? What do I need from that store clerk? Oh, I need him to be the one to point out that, I don't know, the dog is limping. Something really simple, right? So the final thing to think about will be defining the character as a person. And here's where you can get creative, and here's where I want to invite you to think about some deeper levels and backstory for your character. But here's what I would advise. Do the other parts first. first find out, what do I need from my main characters? Then, what do I want? How do I want them to play out the theme? Then you can get into defining the character as a person. Everything from age to the greatest strength and greatest fear. Some things to get clear on. But the way I have it laid out in this worksheet, and again, I'm going to share the link because this is a free download you can get on our website, allwriterswelcome.com. There are only 9 questions. So it keeps it really straightforward. And if you are inspired to think of more things about your character, of course you always can. But my goal for sharing this with you is that you don't feel you have to go through the whole psychoanalysis of your characters in order to be able to use them effectively. And there's also a prompt for doing some free writing in this resource. So if you are interested in grabbing this Creating Compelling Characters, I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the comments, and you all can check it out by heading over to the website, and really just underscore that the way to be able to successfully write and publish is to have these kinds of tools that accelerate your process. I don't mean rush through it. I don't mean, go so fast that it's not going to be quality. We want you to be able to write the quality you want, but we want you to be able to do it in a consistent way so that you can then publish your books. So you could be selling them and marketing them. For the whole month of December, we have been really focused on helping you guys launch. We know so many people did NaNoWriMo, and now you have these manuscripts and you want to get them out. And in the Book Launch Like a Boss Facebook group and all the live trainings, we've been walking you through those marketing pieces. And it's because even though you're creative and you are writing from a place of inspiration, you're also business people. Authors are business people. So we want you to be in the business of finding those ways that help you write faster, that help you make a system that's repeatable. So you go, oh, now I know what works for me in creating characters. I can do it for this novel. I can do it for the next novel. And, shift your thinking about being an author into higher gear. Really think about being a business person as an author. Oh, Karen, congrats on doing Nano. Yeah, it's so fun to write, and it's more fun to publish your writing, get it out there, promote it, and have people read it and say to you, your story touched me and it changed my life, and I'm so excited for it. All right, so go ahead and grab that free resource, the biggest myth about writing good characters, and you get the Create Compelling Characters download. And join us for we're doing the final live training in the Book Launch Like a Boss pop-up month of December pre-party for our Book Launch Like a Boss bootcamp. The final training will be next Wednesday, December 27th, and I'm going to be talking all about how to write a book description that sells your book. And that's another place where there are a lot of myths, a lot of extra stress authors put on themselves because of believing that it has to be done in a certain way and making it harder than it needs to be. So that's another place we want to give you guys repeatable recipes that you can use that accelerate your writing and help you blast off. We want you to launch, and we want you to launch high. So I hope you'll join us for that training. There will be an event in this group. And until then, I want to wish you all a very, very happy winter solstice today. Yay! And a very Merry Christmas. And hope that you are getting a chance to really take time for yourself and do some writing on these cold, cold days as the days are getting shorter. All right, y'all. I will catch you later, and hope you grab the downloads so you can create characters more easily. Ta-ta for now.